FlossTube friends. I am Catherine the Needleberry Stitcher, and I'm here today to go through my 2023 plans. My previous video was a whip parade. It showed all 83 whips that I have. If you haven't seen that, it's my previous video. I actually made a mistake. I have 86 whips. There were 3 that I forgot to show in that video. I'll probably stick some clips in at the end. I'll show you the 3 that I forgot. I also already have plans to UFO some of those ones I showed in that video, so I'll tell you which ones I'm going to UFO in this video. And then I'll show you my handy dandy WIPGO board. I have some magnets that I've put together. I've got these magnets that I created. Oh, I bought them. They're plastic, but I printed out pictures of my whips. I put them in magnets so that I can post them on my board here and have it behind me when I go through my regular updates so I can show you my progress. So that's what I plan to do today, is walk you through how I plan to organize all my projects so that I work on them. And I'm going to go through and show you what I'm going to be working on in January, since the WIPGO numbers have already been called for January. So I have my phone right here. I've got the ones that have been called. So I don't think this is new to anybody that's done WIPGO. There's a whole separate video on WIPGO that Jessie Marie Does Stuff has just put out. She's had this going for many years. And if you want more details on how it works, you can go check her out. The way I'm doing it for me is that I've got 25 squares. I have 4, technically there's 4 WIPGO boards, and I'll show you those here in the video as we go through them. I have 4 WIPGO boards, 1 for each category of stitching that I do. So earlier when I first started doing FlossTube, I still have a quad, so it was like basically 4 squares and representing 4 different categories of stitching. So I have a category for fancy ladies, 1 for dimensions kits, 1 for full coverage, and then 1 that's just others. Other projects that don't fall into one of the other 3 categories, or they're smalls. So that's essentially my 4 categories. So I decided to do a WIPGO board, 1 for each category. I still only have 1 WIPGO board here behind me, but what I'll do is I'll take as the WIPGO numbers are called, I'm going to take my magnets that have the pictures of each of the projects from each of the categories, and I'm going to put them here on my board. And then as I work through them, I'll put them on whatever square. The way I'm doing WIPGO is that as I work through something that's on my square, I'm either going to do 1,000 stitches on that project, that's a goal, or 3 days on that project. Some projects are just really hard to get 1,000 stitches, so I need to put a time limit on it also, otherwise I won't get through that many whips. Because if you do, let's see, 4 boards times 2 numbers per month, that's 8 whips that I'm planning to do per month. So I need to put some type of parameters on it, some type of goal. So it's either 1,000 stitches or 3 days or both. I can even work longer than that, but at a minimum, that's what I want to do on each project that's called from each category every month. So that's kind of how a rundown of what my plan is. I don't really have any rewards built into my WIPGO, where if I get like a line all the way across where I complete all of my goals, that I get a reward. I don't have anything planned like that. I know I want to get finishes in 2023, but I also still want to do some starts. So I'm not going to limit myself. I'm not going to put any kind of, like, I can't do this unless, because that just doesn't work for me. But I do want to manage and have some fun with which ones I work on every month. So hopefully by the end of the year, I've touched almost every single whip. I know I probably won't. The board is not set up. My 4 boards that I have set up, they're not set up for touching every single project, but most of them are going to get touched. I think the only category that might have more than 25, because there's only 25 squares, I think the only category that has more than 25 whips is the others, but that's also the category that I'm going to be reducing and UFOing some stuff. Okay, so I also don't have all my magnets I only bought 50 and I have 86 whips. Some that, again, some will be eliminated, but since I only have just a few 50 magnets, I don't have them all done yet, but I'm gonna order some more magnets. The little plastic, they're like little picture cases. They're like 2x3 inch plastic pictures with a magnet on the back. The magnets are also not very strong, I found out, because I had them on my board, and like overnight I came downstairs the next morning and some of them had fallen off the board on the floor. So I had to use some Gorilla Glue to put my magnets back on the little plastic pieces. But anyway, that was fun. So when I get some more of those little plastic 2x3 picture holders, I'll print out pictures of the whips in my other category. So all of my Dimensions kits, Fancy Ladies, and full coverages are all in magnets right now. It's only my others category that I don't have magnets set up yet. But I'm still going to go through January planning today, and you'll get the idea of how I'm planning to do this, and what my board's going to look like, and what you can expect to see in my update videos when I show it. All right, let's see. What do we do? What are we going to do? All right, I'll show you. I'll put on the screen my, let's see, let's start with Fancy Ladies. So I'm going to show you my Fancy Lady category. I'm going to put it up on the screen, and this is what I have on my board. And I'm looking down at my phone because I'm looking at what you're looking at on the screen. So what I did was took, what's that, the little wheel, what's it called? The app, Tiny Decisions app. And I created 4 wheels on my Tiny Decisions app, one for each category. And then I spun my wheel, my Tiny Decisions app, and that's how I decided which ones were going to go in which square. So I would spin the wheel, and that was going to be whatever landed on was number 1. So Lady Claire ended up being number 1. And then I spun it again, and Rose Arbor is number 2. And then I spun it again, and Feathers and Friends became number 3. So that's what I did. I just randomly, I reset the wheel every time on this one because I just don't have that many in this category. So I just reset the wheel, and whatever it landed on, I just made sure that everything got called at least once. So the reason why number 6 and number 10 are red is because those are the 2 numbers that were called for January. So what I'm doing in my spreadsheet app, I just use Google Sheets, it's nothing fancy, and set up these grids. I'm turning them red because red means this number's been called, but I haven't met my goals yet. So, and again, I have to stitch 1,000 stitches or 3 days on this project. So number 6 was called, so it's Rose Arbor. And number 10 was called, which is Lady Claire. So those are the 2 Fancy Ladies I'm going to work on in January, get at least 1,000 stitches or work on them for 3 days. When I've completed that goal on that particular whip, I'll turn it green so I know that I'm good. And the white squares are the numbers that haven't been called. Reds are called and I haven't completed my goal. And then greens are going to be done. I finished my goal. I'm not going to hold myself to a particular month. I'm not going to start a whip until it's called. But if I don't complete it, so let's say I don't work on Rose Arbor in January. Let's say I only worked on it for 2 days, or I only got 500 stitches on it. I'm going to keep it on here. I'm going to keep it red, but I'm going to allow myself to pick it up later in the year if I want to, and just I just need to be flexible with it. I'll just finish it sometime during the year. My goal is to do it monthly because I think over time I could get really far behind, but I'm also not going to be so strict that this isn't enjoyable. It's not fun, but I think it'll be fun knowing that these things are going to be called, because some of them I know I have a hard time getting in that mental space of saying like, oh, it's really pretty and I really want to work on it, but I don't want to pick it up today. And I find myself doing that. So that's why I have so many whips that I just haven't pulled out in years. But I know if I've got a WIPGO board and a reason and the number's called and that's the one that is chosen to pull out, I will pull it out. So I think this is going to be a great way to get progress on just about everything that I have this year. So, and I talk a lot. So if you don't like videos that I talk a lot, like we're already in like 11 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever, this is how I am. So this is the chitty chatty kind of videos that I do. My whip parade was a little different. I was really trying to keep it under an hour. or right at an hour. Here's a little secret. I actually filmed it twice. The first time I filmed my whip parade, I did the talking like I'm doing now, where I just talk about whatever I want to talk about. So it was 3.5 hours, and there's no way I could put a 3.5 hour video up on YouTube. First of all, I don't think I could actually load it. I think it would probably take days for me to load it. I have problems uploading videos to YouTube for some reason. Sometimes I can do it and it'll like upload in an hour, and sometimes it's like 20 hours. So I don't understand. Sometimes I think I just need to mess with the settings on my phone, because I upload from my phone. I edit and upload on my phone. But anyway, a little tangent there. Just, yeah, the first version was a little too long. So I refilmed it, and it was just like, here's all my stuff. And that's really setting a baseline for what I'm going to be working on this year, so I can reference back to that video and see all of my whips. And next year I can compare and say, okay, here's where I was in last December, and here's where I am at the end of 2023, and just be able to have that reference to go back and look. So yeah, nice way to measure progress. So that's my first board. You've already seen it on the screen, so you know what was called for January from my fancy ladies. So I'm going to pull up my magnet. So Rose Arbor, and I spelled it 2 different ways on my board. On my spreadsheet, I spelled it Arbor, A-R-B-O-U-R. And then on my magnet, this is my magnet. It's a picture. I put the name of it too, just to make it easier for me to, when I pick it up, just to look at it. Oh yeah, Rose Arbor. I don't have to try and remember. And it's also easier for me too. I can just like pull it off my board and hold it up here and you guys can see it. So this is Rose Arbor, but I did spell it differently down here. So differences in spelling between US and Canada and UK and Australia. I know it's spelled 2 different ways, so anyway, but I'm from Canada. I live in the US, so that fits. I'm a mix. So anyway, so this is Rose Arbor. This was called for number 6, so I'm going to put it here. And they're not all going to fit on the square, which means I really need to work on them. Because as I work on them and I meet my goals, whoop, I got a point here. As I work on them and I meet the goal, I'm going to pull it off the board. So it stays on the board until I've met the goal. That's the other thing. So in addition to the color coding in my spreadsheets that I can keep track where I turn it green, for me, anything that's on the board is stuff that I still need to work on. I think that'll be easier for me to track. Instead of looking at my spreadsheets all the time, I can just come down and go, oh, I still have stuff. January is number 6 and number 10. I still have stuff on those squares. I got to focus on that first and get that done. But if February comes and let's say Rose Arbor is still on 6, and then let's say 2 and 3 are called, and I have those ones that I'm working on, I'll work on those first, but then I can still come down and, I cannot do this backwards. I can still come down and pick up something from a previous month that hasn't been worked on yet. I think that'll give me enough variety that, because that's 8 projects every month. I think that's a good amount of variety, where if I feel like I'm getting bored, I can come down and still pick from something else that's on the board and have fun with that. So, and I have Blitz Stitch, Brian from Blitz Stitch. I've got his app, which tracks how many days, and it tracks how many stitches that I've done on each one. So I've got all the tools I need now. I feel like this is the most prepared that I've probably ever been with my cross stitching to actually work toward real goals, to get real work in progress done, but still enjoy the process. So, okay, so that's that's me. So that's Rose Arbor got called for number 6, and then number 10 is Lady Claire got called for number 10. That's on my board for number 10. Put this on, put it there, and move on to the next one. Let's look at dimensions. So I'm going to put it up here on the screen and show you my dimensions board. You can see what all the different projects are and what numbers they got assigned to, or what. Yeah, so number 1 was Promises Kept. Number 2, Cena Farm. So I did the same thing with the wheel. I spun the Tiny Decisions wheel for each number, and whatever showed up on the wheel was what got put on that spot. So I went through all 20, and it got all 25 assigned. So number 6 is Freedom Eagle, and that's this one. It's a no count dimensions kit, and if you watched my previous video, my whip parade, I mentioned that I'm not really a big fan of no count cross stitch. I like this design a lot. The clouds are not stitched. All that background clouds, that's just pre-printed on the fabric. But it's done more like a paint by numbers, where the chart just tells you, the chart and the canvas both are printed exactly the same, and the chart just tells you what number to stitch where, and you just fill it in. I'm gonna give it a try. I am. I'm not gonna UFO this one yet. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna see if I can finish it. It was a gift from a family member, one of my American family members. I'm patriotic. I'm patriotic to Canada because that's where I was born, but I'm patriotic to the US because I've immigrated here and my family's here, my husband and kids. So I'm like I said, I'm just like a mix. I'm multiple nationalities. I have dual citizenship. So this one's gonna go on number 6. And again, they're not all gonna fit perfectly on the boxes. The only way I could print stuff so that it was gonna fit here. What did I do? Sorry, I'm seeing where I made like boo-boos where I like put it together. Anyway, they're not all gonna fit on the board, so you know, they're just gonna overlap, but that's fine because as I finish them, they're gonna come off the board, so hopefully it's just not gonna be completely full at any, let's hope it's not gonna be completely full, that I haven't done any work on anything. All right, so that was number 6. Number 10 is Lost No More, which is a beautiful dimensions kit. I absolutely love this one. And I'm gonna put that on my board. All right, and I'm gonna do this every month. I think this will be something that, this type of video, where every month when the numbers are called, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna put stuff on my board as part of my update videos. So I'll kind of recap the prior month and the progress that I got done, and then like pull stuff off the board so you can see what I finished, what I didn't, and then I'll go through and with the numbers that get called, I'll go put my stuff on the board for the next month. So, all right, my next WIPGO board is for full coverage, and I'm putting that up on the screen right now. You can pause the video if you want to see like what I've assigned to everything. Number 6 was called, which is, I have Birds and Blooms on that one. This is Birds and Blooms. I have a very, very small start on this one, so I'm looking forward to pulling it out again and working on it. I think it's actually Birds and Blooms Garden. And this is Heaven and Earth Designs, and the art is by Amy Stewart. There are multiple versions of this. I have the supersize max colors, because I'm like slightly ridiculously crazy. I'll never finish all my full coverage designs. I don't ever plan to ever finish all my full coverage. I just enjoy working on them. So for me, it's full coverage is something I can pull out and work on when I'm like really tired or stressed, or there's just stuff like life stuff going on. I find it easy with Pattern Keeper and with one thread. I do one strand on usually 25 count. I have some on 28 count, but I just find it very easy to stitch in that way. Sometimes like dimensions kits can get like, you have like multiple different strands, like you might have one color's like 3 strands and one color 6 strands, or you might do half cross, you might do full cross, and you get all the back stitching. Full coverage is, for me, is just a lot easier. It's, you just stitch. You don't worry about back stitch, you don't worry about quarter stitches, you don't worry about half stitches, you just stitch. I like it. So but I don't ever plan to finish everything, but I do want to make progress on stuff because that's the fun of it, right? Is being able to work on it. So Birds and Blooms was number 6. There we go. And for number 10 is Home is Where the Magic Is. And this is one that I worked on not that long ago, in December. I think it was in end of November, early December. Was it? Maybe it was just November. Might have been November. Anyway, this is Heaven and Earth Design. The artwork is by Randall Spangler. I'm doing this one. Birds and Blooms I'm doing on 25 count. 1/1 full cross. This one I'm doing on 28 count. And it's a mini. This is a mini, so I have pretty good chance of getting this one done in my lifetime. I know some of the other ones I don't, so. Oh, that's gonna be a little hard to do this one. let's put it off to the side. All right, so now we know those are the projects that have magnets. I have 2 more projects in my others category. I'll put that board here up on the screen so you can see that one. And this is like everything else. So not everything got called, just so you know, not everything. Initially, when I did the Tiny Decisions wheel, I had stuff on there that I showed in my Whip Parade video. And since then, I've updated my grid to take them. I think there's like 4 or 5 that I've permanently decided I'm never gonna do. I don't want to. It's not that I don't like them. It's just not stuff that I'm interested in anymore. So I'll show you those in a few minutes. So I took them off the board and I made sure that I got almost everything else on here. I think there's only one thing that's not on here. I think it's the, well, actually that's not true, because there's the 3 whips that I forgot to show. One of those 3 is on here. It's actually the Red's Resting Place. How did I forget to show that one in my last video? It's a recent start, and I actually had it near my stitching chair where I usually sit. So I think I just forgot to grab it when I was getting my stuff together for my Whip Parade. So that's the one of the antique red truck in the barn that I'm doing for my dad. So that one is still, it's on here because I remembered to put that on the wheel when I was making my Tiny Decisions out, but the other 2 are not on here. So what I haven't worked on them lately. I don't know if they're gonna ever get worked on as part of my WIPGO this year, but maybe, I mean, I'm gonna have some days in the month that I built that into my WIP every month to have days where I can just work on whatever I want, a focus piece or just something that's calling to me. Because I've got 8 projects times 3 days, that's only 24 days. So for January, I've got 7 days because there's 31 days. So yeah, I've got 7 days in January that I can work on whatever I want or catch up on things. Or if I have days that I don't stitch, I just have like free days. So I could still pull out the whips that didn't make it onto the WIPGO board during those days too. So the first one that got called, did I put that up on the screen yet? If I didn't put it up on the screen yet, I'll just put it up again. I'll put it up again. All 25, and every block for my others category, every single block is something different. Whereas some of my other categories, it's repeated because I didn't have 25 in that category. But this one I have more than 25, so each block is different. Number 6 is my Atlantic Seaboard sampler. And again, I don't have magnets for these, but I have the charts I can pull out. This is Atlantic Seaboard sampler. It's a chart from Jeanette Douglas Designs. And I showed it in my last video, but it's got green gables in it, and it's got some seagulls and seabirds, sand pips. I think those are sand pips in the middle. Yep, and it's referencing things like Cabot Trail, which is the northern part of Nova Scotia, and Signal Hill. It says Annapolis Valley, which is actually, I lived there for 3 years. The Annapolis Valley is a beautiful place to live in Nova Scotia. And Green Gables is in Prince Edward Island. So anyway, that's the one I'm going to be working on in January. I'm excited to pull this one out. This was one I wanted to pull out this year, and I just didn't get to it. So this one's going to get worked on in January. And when I get magnets, I'll put them on the board. And then the other one that got called for number 10 is Stitch an Inch Fall, which is a pretty recent start. So there's a good chance I could finish this one in January. I'm hoping. I think there's more than is there more than 1,000 stitches? There's more than 1,000 stitches left, I think, but in 3 days, we'll see. We'll see how far I get. Maybe I'll work on it in some of the days that some of my free days that I can work on whatever I want. So that is my plan for 2023. And what else was I gonna say? I'm gonna say something else about this. I'm gonna still try and get as many finishes as I can. On some of these smaller ones, I think that's doable. And I don't remember what else I was gonna say. I don't know. maybe I won't pull out the ones that I'm not, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother showing you guys which ones I'm not working on. You can, if you go back and look at my board, and my other videos. I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it today. It's New Year's Eve, and I have other things I want to do today. I want to hang out with my kids and their friends, and yeah, so I hope you don't mind. I don't think I'm going to do the things I initially said I was going to do in this video. I can't tell you that, I'll tell you by name some of the ones that I'm not going to do. There were 2 small ornaments in my last Whip Parade video. One was a Santa that looked like a tree, and one was a snowman, and neither one of those is really something that I really feel like finishing. I started them just on a trip when I was traveling. I picked them up at Walmart, I think, because I hadn't taken stitching with me on those trips, and it was many years ago, like 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And I just stitched on them while I was traveling, and then I never stitched on them again. So I'm not going to finish those 2. Just, those are done. There was also 2 Disney ones. There's a Pluto and Snow White. If you remember the one with Snow White with the floating lips in the middle of the fabric. It was really creepy. Both of those were started, one was on plastic canvas, which I don't like working on. One was on 14 count white Aida. I'm okay with Aida. I don't really like 14 count. I like 16 and 18 count better. But I just don't think I'm going to finish either of those. I don't have anyone to stitch them for. I don't have grandkids. My kids are grown up. And there's just a lot of just block stitching. And as pretty as they are, I think I'm not going to stitch those 2. They're done. UFO, gone. And then there were 2 more that I'm for sure not going to stitch. One was the grapes towel. It was like a white cotton towel, and it had some Aida grid in it, and I barely even started. It had one tiny little leaf of grapes. Because I rarely have not much on it, and because I really don't want a towel, I don't know. I don't even know why I started it. I don't want a hand towel. I like my stitching. I want it on the wall. I want it, like, flat folds are fine. I just want it displayed. I don't want a towel. I'd never use it as a towel because I don't want to destroy the stitching, and I don't have anywhere to hang it as a towel. So I'm not doing the grapes towel. I'm also not doing the other towel, which was the Paula Vaughn from the Sweet Violets book. It was like kind of a fluffy looking towel. It was supposed to be kind of a fancy towel. Started it so long ago. I, again, don't want to hang a towel. I don't want a towel. I don't want to gift it to someone. What are they going to do with it? They're not. I don't know. If they use it, why would you want to use it if it's like a hand stitching on it? And most people don't. I don't know. Maybe people still display hand towels, like the little decorative ones, but I don't know anyone that I could give it to that would display it. So, and there really wasn't that much done on it, and there wasn't much left on it, but I still don't want it. So that's 6 things. So let's count. I had 83 that I showed you, 3 that I forgot to show you, which makes 86, and 6 that I'm getting rid of. So I'm at 80. 80 is a good number. Round number. It's a good number to come into 2023 with, and that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm starting the year with 80 whips, and I may still UFO some more along the way, but I'm pretty good with the ones that I have right now, other than those 6 that I'm not going to do. I feel pretty good about it. Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this. I don't see, the thing is, I don't remember what I said in my last video because I filmed it twice, once when I talked a lot and one when I didn't, so I can't remember if I said this in the first version of my video and then I didn't actually tell you this, but I did decide that by the time I turn 50, I'm 47 right now, by the time I turn 50, I would like to have 50 or less whips. I said that, and I got a lot of comments on my Whip Parade video, so I must have said it in the video that I put live, or uploaded. A lot of people were like, don't worry about how many whips you have. If there's something you want to work on, just go ahead and start it. I still feel that way. I'm still going to go ahead and start stuff. It's just a number. It's just a number I'm kind of working toward. And if I don't get down to 50 whips by 50, that's okay. It's just a goal. It's just something for me to have in my brain that's like, it helps me to focus on trying to finish stuff. And if I finish stuff and I start stuff and I'm still at 80 whips or 100 whips or whatever when I'm 50, that's okay. I'm fine with that. It's just a goal, just a goal. So, and I appreciate everybody who commented on my last video. And when you guys were like, don't give yourself a hard time. Don't set rigid goals. Thank you for saying those things. That really does help. Because sometimes you can get a little fixated on, like, I said that, so now I have to do it. But I change my mind all the time. So what I started at the beginning of 2022 is not, I mean, I wanted to have a year of no starts. I've started all kinds of stuff. So, but I do appreciate all the encouragement, just with, you know, give yourself a break. Don't make it so rigid that you're not having fun with it. And that's really helpful. I need to be reminded of that sometimes. And just all of the comments that came in on my Whip Parade video. Thank you all. I love doing this. Like, there was a time where I was first starting out and I thought, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do very well behind a camera. I don't know if people are going to watch this stuff. But I'm really excited at how many of you, like, we've just gotten to know each other. And like, when you comment on my videos, I comment back on almost every single one. Like, I do my best to comment on every single one. I read them all. And I know some of you comment like regularly, and I really have valued getting to know you and getting learning more about what you like to stitch. And yeah, it's been fun. This has been a really fun year doing FlossTube, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. 2023 is going to be a really fun year. I think it's going to be the most organized, the most fun. It's going to have a lot of progress on so many different things, and that's exciting to me. And I can't wait to watch other FlossTube videos of all of you out here watching. If you have a FlossTube video, I do my best to keep up on it. I'm not very good at keeping up on it because I work full time. Life update, not going to do that today, but I will do a life update probably in my next video when I recap January. I might try and do videos more than once a month. At a minimum, I'll do a monthly video. I'll try and do them maybe a little more often just so I can show progress, but can't commit to that. You know, it's just tough with full-time work. This is my plan. This is my WIPGO, 4 boards, 4 virtual boards with 4 categories, 1 board here to show the progress on all of those, and it's gonna be fun. Yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve here, so for me, I know other parts of the world it's probably already the New Year, but for me it's still New Year's Eve, and tomorrow's New Year's Day. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Kick off 2023. If you make resolutions or you want to set goals, nothing wrong with setting goals. Nothing wrong with not setting goals, but it's kind of fun. So I'll say goodbye so everybody's like, I'm done. I don't know what else to say. If I think of other things to talk about related to WIPGO, or I might make changes along the way as I go through the year next year and fine tune it for the following year. But right now I think this is going to work. So if you have any suggestions or comments, or you just want to say, hey, hi, leave a comment below, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone. Happy New Year.